Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. I can't wait till you talk to my friend Justin. Man, this guy has some story. He's also going to change your life physically, mentally, and so much more. How are you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right, yeah, no, I heard you speak, and I'm glad we connected and we're in the same circles. And it's always good to hear somebody's story. And that's what we love here, talking about here is some of your story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself to start out?
Yeah, we all have bad seasons in life. And I had one in 2002 when I was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, for those that don't know me, like you mentioned, I'm Justin Danforth, the owner of Danforth Fitness, where we help individuals become the best version of themselves by crushing all limiting beliefs and overcoming the obstacles and the vices that stand in our way. Now, I was incarcerated at 21 years old, facing a life sentence without the possibility of parole. At the time, I had an eighth grade education. And at first, that's not the worst part of the story. Like most people hear that and it's like, wow. And of course, it was a tragic part of my life and a bad season, as I said. However, the worst part of the story is that the reality hadn't even sunk in. My mindset, my mentality was so far gone that I remained the same arrogant, dope smoking, punk, alcoholic kid for the first 3 years of my incarceration. That's the worst part of my story, is that I had been doing wrong for so long. Doing the right thing had never even clicked after being faced with a life sentence, being charged with first degree murder and facing a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Wow, that's just incredible. It's further incredible. I got to say, I'm a little naive, and I know there's some stuff going on in prisons, but the fact that your life, other than being incarcerated, your substance abuse really hadn't changed, or even your mindset at that time really hadn't changed.
Correct, correct. Like I said, like I had been doing wrong for so long. Like I was good at doing bad. Like I was really, to me, the best of the best at doing everything I shouldn't have been doing. No one should be doing, right? And it stems from drug selling, drug using, abuse of alcohol, just womanizing, just all of the things that come with what we call the street life, right?
Mm.
Or a thug life. For some of you are familiar with those terms or terminologies. And doing the right thing was when I did decide, like, I don't have some aha moment where I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm gonna change the trajectory of the rest of my life. It was a process, and it was a grueling process for me to fix my mindset in order to do the right thing. Doing the right thing was very difficult, extremely hard, because I was so accustomed to doing bad and doing the wrong thing. And that's what was comfortable. That's what was easy. That's what I knew.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, no matter what your challenges are or what our challenges are, is to break the patterns. So how did you break the pattern? I'm sure you didn't just wake up one morning and go, okay, now let's hear whatever you want to share, and I don't want you to overshare if that's uncomfortable for you.
Oh no, I'm an open book, and anybody who's listening, your viewers, your audience, always feel free to reach out and question anything that I say, or have questions that we don't get to cover, or whatever it is. I'm very transparent because I own my truth, I own my story,
Mm.
and on top of that, I know that the experiences that I've been through in life, somebody else is experiencing the same thing and needs a way out, or needs a helping hand, or needs to know what can they do. So I'm always open about everything because I know where I was at and I know where I am.
I
So
appreciate
like you
that.
said, yeah, yeah. So like you said, I didn't just wake up and decide, oh, today's gonna be the day and change everything. It was so going to prison was like the best thing that ever happened for me. Now, I want everybody to notice I said it happened for me, not to me. And that's the difference between a victim mindset and a victor mindset, right?
Mm.
Victim mindset is life happens to me, and that's blaming things or blaming situations and whatnot. But it happened for me. Life happens for us because it happens for a reason. And going to prison was the greatest thing that ever happened for me because it gave me a chance to sit with myself. And the longer I sat with myself, the more disgusted I became. Like I couldn't even face myself in the mirror without seeing a monster and something that I disliked. And the longer I sat with myself, I realized the most troubling thing for a lot of us to face is the truth,
Yeah.
hands down. all the way down to the nitty gritty truth. Not what we want to say the truth is, not what we call the truth, but what is the actual truth. And the truth was, I put myself in that situation because of the decisions I had made up to that point.
Sure.
So I no longer liked where I was, who I was, and how I got there. So something had to give. And you may be familiar with this, the saying or quote, and I'm going to paraphrase, but it's like a person's not going to change until the pain of what they're going through is worse than the fear of the change of change itself.
Sure.
And so the pain I started to feel sitting in prison got to be really bad to the point where, okay, now I understand I need to change for the better, no matter how hard it is to change, because I said it was grueling. It was difficult. It was uncomfort, right? Or discomfortable, right? So I said that to say, I just started reading the same personal growth and development literatures we all read. Like we all read them from the same books, unless it came out yesterday and you just hadn't got your copy yet. But for the most part, we all read the same literature. But for me, the difference was I started to apply it. I started to analyze it. I didn't just read 100 books. I read one book 100 times, right? So I started to really delve into the acts of personal growth and development, the thought process of personal growth and development. How does this apply to me, and what do I need to do to apply it so that way I start to make a difference in my life?
Sure.
And that's how I developed and cultivated my program, my daily process, right? Because our habits are the cornerstone to who we are, to who we have become. So if you change your habits, which is easy to do, then you change your outcome. And so I designed my daily habits to be congruent with the vision that I had for myself, the life that I wanted to live.
Powerful. That's real powerful. And how'd you do that? So again, as you said, I love that. You didn't read 100 books one time. You read one book 100 times. Is there a real book that you read 100 times or multiple times?
Yes, there's a couple. One of them right there, Everyday Greatness by Stephen Covey. Also, Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yep.
Also, Napoleon Hill's
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Yes. However, he has other works that I like
He
that
has
are
a
more,
lot of other works. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're more profound. They're more geared.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you. I've read a bunch of them. I agree. Not that that's a bad book, but there's a lot more. And the more you read those type of thinking, it gets you to think differently. It gets you to experience it differently and receive it differently. It's more about how you receive the information than how you read the information. It's got to be more than just sticking. So how did it stick? You were in prison and you're now not. How did this information that you got, how did that stick?
And that's a great question, right? Because I don't know if I mentioned this, but in the beginning, now when I went to prison at 21 years old, I had an 8th grade education. So reading comprehension wasn't my strong point, right? I had to really make a conscious effort to read and to comprehend and to apply what I was reading. And so I tell people all the time, I think, excuse me, it's one of those a gift and a curse things. Because I didn't have an 8th grade education, I wasn't arrogant enough to know that, oh, I already know this information. And it didn't come to me easy. So I had to really struggle like to get the information from that page to here to my mouth into action, right? Thought, speech, action. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your destiny. So that being the case, it's just repetitive, man. It's repetitive. No different than, if I can use a million different metaphors, whether it's sports, exercise, even sun tanning, right? You go out in the sun one day, you might get burnt, but you go out there for a few minutes every day, you'll get a tan. So it was just repetitive, just really making it stick, making a conscious effort, refusing to listen to the voice on the left shoulder and listening to the voice on the right shoulder.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a powerful thing because now I'll ask you. So to just extend that a little bit, do you still have the guy in the left shoulder in you?
Oh, of course. Oh, of
Okay,
course.
yeah, no, because and I think that's part of You and I had a few conversations when we met in Nashville, and he's such a humble guy. I really, he's a lot more than he's coming off a little humble, but we all have that left shoulder guy, the guy who's going to tell us we can't do it, the can'ts. We're going to hear all those negative things. How did you get over that? Because again, in prison, I'm sure that's not necessarily a great feeding place for the mindset growth. While it could be, it depends on how you saw things.
Exactly. And it's a great question, David. Like for me, how do I quiet or silence that voice on the left shoulder? It was, again, back to my daily habits. Now, as long as I say, I'm going to, let's say, all right, for example, my daily habits is my process. I still adhere to them to this day.
Could you share some of those with us?
Sure, sure. So one of them is I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week. There's no days off, whether I'm at home or I'm on vacation. I get up at 3 o'clock every morning.
Wow.
Now, by doing that, I have contributed to the voice on the right side, and I start to silence the voice on the left side because I learned to live a life of purpose over pleasure. And so my purpose is what is getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because there's a whole array of benefits to that for me. One, it's hard, it's difficult. And I've learned that all of the things that were difficult to me or for me in my life is where the benefit lied. Like it becomes a matter of the obstacle is the blessing.
Sure.
That roadblock is the gift. It's who you become by getting over. Everybody knows it's the journey, not the finish line.
And there is no finish line. It continues to go. As you were just saying, even though your mindset is so much different, there's times that we still have our challenges. So we have to also acknowledge that at times the finish line that there is no finish line. The finish line is when they put you in that box, or that moment that your eyes close for that last time. That's your finish line. And it's depending on how we get to that finish line.
Indeed. And I'll give you something even more. If you live your life right, even getting put in that box and buried isn't your finish line, because your legacy will live on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
If you do it right.
Yep.
So it's making or having the voice on the right shoulder, as we're saying. It's my self-talk, as we all have, but it's having my self-talk on auto-suggestion. So it's on auto-suggestion to give me encouragement and get me up out of that bed, or get me to the next level, or get me to do the thing that I need to do that is difficult. And when the voice on the left tries to talk against it, talk down on it, or tell me I can't do it, or I'm not worth it, or whatever the negative self-talk is, it's knowing that I do not negotiate with that person or that voice.
Right.
I only do what I say I'm going to do. And what I say I'm going to do is my integrity. So if I tell you, David, I'm going to get up at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning and for the rest of my life, that's what I'm going to do. Because in this world, if you've ever seen the movie Scarface, most people have. What did Al Pacino said? He said, all I have is my word and my balls, meaning I have my word. That's my integrity. And I'm a man, my balls, right? I'm a man. So I'm going to hold true to my word, because a respectable man does that. And what a man is and manhood and all of that is a whole other topic for another day.
Right. But it's that commitment that we make. That was one of the things I took away, truthfully, from Nashville, is when they asked us all the question, what are you doing to hold you back? And to me, that was a really powerful question. What am I doing? I wasn't always meeting my commitments. I was trying to follow up with a lot of people, and there's that balance of following up and then are you chasing somebody? I'm not chasing anybody. I just know what messages I want out there on my podcast, but also the people I want to surround myself with. But there's that fine balance on figuring out those pieces. And now that I've made all my commitments, like when I write down every night, what commitments did I make today? And what goal how am I doing it? And how am I keeping to my commitments? And there's some days I have 5 and I might only do 1, but then I know what I have to start off doing. I have to finish the 4 and then get started on the next day. And I've been much more successful, much more focused, because I hold myself to that level. I don't want to just talk about it. I want to be that level.
That's right. That's right. Action speaks louder than words, man. And so that's part of my daily habits is getting up at 3, of course, hydrating. I'm really big on fitness and nutrition, just health as well, all of the things. So I have hydrate with some water. I do some supplication between myself and my Lord, and I read. I start reading something from personal growth and development. And then so that way, first thing in the morning, I have something that I can take with me throughout the day because, as you said, if it's not just that voice, it's somebody else or something else. It's somebody in traffic. It's somebody at Starbucks. It's somebody wherever I go. There's always that one person that can get under your skin if you don't let it. So I take something with me out of my reading and I reflect. Now, when I sit and reflect in the mornings, it's reflecting on the pain that I went through in my life, because I know that's the greatest source of power, is to know that I, Justin Danforth, overcame a hardship that was so grueling and painful. And look who I am. Look where I'm at today. So that's a great source of power. And it gives me the confidence to stand upright and go through my day, knowing that I've already stacked wins. I've already been through something in my life. And I'm going to go through something else. And I know that I have the strength to get through it because I've done it before.
Yeah, it's the lessons of our past that help us strengthen and only if you've learned them. And sometimes that's why we go through events in our lives over and over again, but to learn them and to keep moving forward.
Exactly. And then sometimes, and I don't journal every day, but I do journal periodically most of the time. And my journaling is different than other people's journaling. My journaling is just a 3-step process. And it's all it is. The first thing I write down is, what do I regret from yesterday? What did I do yesterday that I regret? Did I get ill-tempered? Did I get impatient? Did I say something out of the way to my wife? Or whatever it is, what did I do that I regret? So I put that down so that way I know, don't do that again today, because regret is your guideline. That's our blueprint for everything in life. Anything that you regret doing, then you now know, don't do it again, and then move forward. So so the first thing is regret. What do I regret? The second thing is, what can I do today to not do that thing again, that thing that I regret? So now I'm more mindful going, and this is early in the morning. So now I'm mindful of what is it as I'm going throughout the day. These things stay on top of mind. And then I get a quote, just whether it's motivational, inspirational quote. And again, how can this apply to me today? Or how do I apply this to my life? And that's it. That's my journaling process. Quick and easy, 3-step. Here we go. Now I'm off to the gym. Now I go get my exercise in because like I said, I believe fitness and nutrition is like it's the foundation to success, right? I firmly believe that fitness and health go hand in hand with striving to perfect one's personal growth structure. And so I do a good workout, and then I come home, and that's the morning. After that, it's just you go to work. I come in here, get on my computer, whatever it is I have to do for that day, I start doing my daily tasks.
Okay. And one of the things that you do is you're a fitness instructor among the other things that you're doing. So what would you do? So here, like just recently, I started working out again. I used to be in much better shape. The round is a shape. So I will say that, but I don't like round as my shape. And what would you say? So I'm 55, and so yesterday I walked 12 miles. Today, oh no, sorry, I walked 8 miles, and today I walked 4 already. I'm a little sore. Let's be honest. I went from 0 to 8 yesterday. I did 4 twice, so I didn't do 8 at one time. But I am notorious for doing stuff like that. What would you say? So that's not going to do it. It's not going to only do that. What would you say for most of us who might not have been in a regularly exercise program? How do you get started? How do you maintain it?
Great question. So how do you get started is what is your goals? What is it? Why are you trying to start fitness, right? Exercising or diet. And they go hand in hand. So that's the main thing is you can't, you know how they say you can't outwork a bad diet. You can do all the exercise in the world, depending on your goals, you're not going to reach them if your diet is off.
Right.
And vice versa. You can do all the dieting you want, but if you're not exercising, it's so they go hand in hand. So first is knowing your goals. Is it I want to lose weight? tone up, or I want to, if you're already, some people are just hard gainers. They have a hard time gaining weight. So you want to gain weight, tone up, build muscle. So first, the start is know what you want to do. Okay. Once you know what you want to do, then you start moving. Like you said, you started walking. That's great. You took action. Now you find out what it is you're capable of doing. You reach out to a professional or somebody, or you can find all the workouts and diets online on Google or YouTube if you wanted to, or you reach out to somebody like me and say, hey man, you got any advice? Here's where I'm at. But so you take action. Now, how do you get the discipline? This is the best thing, right? Because all of us start a new thing on January 1st, right? And then within the next few weeks, or at least by March, our New Year's resolution is out the window. We're back into the flow of everyday life and whatever else comes our way. So this is the reason I love fitness and nutrition so much, is because it instills in us delayed gratification, because you have to do it long enough in order to get the result.
That's the trick, man, right? Hey, I worked out today. Why aren't I where I want to be? I did it 2 days in a row. Come on, Justin. No, you have to. And that's with everything else, is consistency. You don't get there just by reading a book. You get there by reading, as you said, reading the book multiple times, or reading or keeping those ideas forward.
Yes, action is the fruit of knowledge. So you can know all you want, but if you're not implementing it, it's futile, right? So those are the key things, right? Is know what your goals are, start taking action towards those goals, and never miss. Never miss. If there's anything your viewers, anybody ever listening to this, if they take anything from this show right here, this episode, take this. Never miss on what you said you were going to do. And that's the key to any level of success, whether you want a better relationship with your spouse, or better relationship with your child or your parents, if you want more patience, if you want more money, if you want growth in your business or at your job. Say that you're going to do the thing that's going to get you to that next level of that goal, right? Whether it's a relationship goal, business, job, whatever, and never miss. If your wife complains about you taking out the trash, not taking out the trash, and you want a better relationship with your wife, then you take the trash out. You say to yourself, I'm going to take the trash out, and I'll never not take the trash out again in my life. Now you've already knocked off one thing that she's complaining about. That starts to strengthen the relationship. And that goes for everything else in your life. Just never miss. If we just sat and thought about, imagine where you would be in life if you never gave up on the thing that you were chasing at one point in time.
And that's exactly what I talk about all the time, is why give up? Like, you can give up if you want to learn how to fly, right? You want to physically fly, not be a pilot. Okay, that's fine. It's an unrealistic opportunity. But there's also a lot of different pieces if you want to feel that way. But where I'm going with this is time's going to pass anyway. So are you going to use it? In what way are you going to use it? And by doing the things that you know. I've quit a million times being an entrepreneur. I'm done. I'm tired. It's not working the way I want. And then what do? Take a breath, reset, and go, okay, let's go start this again. Because I know that if I don't get the books out, tell the stories that I need to tell out, because somebody needs to hear it and hear the methods, the resources, that's the real trick. That's the power in the whole story. Is not my story, but the resources, much like your resources, keeping yourself to those commitments to yourself.
Exactly. And so, yeah, and again, like for me, it's get up, start with personal growth and development and reflection, and start to envision, like we all have this vision of who we think we are and who we want to be or become. At least we should, right? Everybody has a vision of who they think they are. Most of us should or do have a vision of who we want to be and become. And you start there. What would that individual do? Not what you do, not what you're feeling, like what you feel like doing today. Because you're not that person that you envision you want to be. So it's like crafting an avatar or building your own Frankenstein of the future you. Now, how do you step into that person? What does that person sound like when they talk? What does that person look like when they walk? How does that person dress? Are they dressed in the same way you dress today? Maybe not. because that vision that you have for yourself in the future,
Right.
I guarantee drives a different car. I guarantee lives in a
Hmm.
different house.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I
Eh,
guarantee spends differently, invests differently. And so, what is it you're going to do today that's congruent with that Frankenstein, that avatar that you
Sure.
had, that you have for yourself? And that's what I do every day. Just wake up and envision the life that I want to live. Who do I want to be or become? And for me, it's becoming the man that I always needed in my life. Now, I had my dad in my life, right? But my dad couldn't teach me how to be affectionate with my wife because him and my mom did nothing but fight. That's all I remember from my childhood is them fighting up until they divorced every day, hollering and screaming at each other. I never seen any affection between the two. My dad couldn't teach me how to invest or build a successful and sustainable company or business, be an entrepreneur, because he always had a failing roofing company. We were broke. The lights and the electricity and water was turned off for months at a time. Not just, oh, we didn't pay it this month. They turned it off for a couple of days. We get it back on. No, months and months at a time, year after year. He couldn't teach me how to invest. He couldn't teach me how to grow, scale a business, things like this. So
Hmm.
for me, it's becoming the man that I always needed in my life, the man I can look in the mirror and take advice from. When I look in the mirror today, I would take my own advice.
That's powerful because that's really some of what we have to do is break those patterns. Sometimes we don't even recognize them. I've done some dives into my own family and seeing where some of the limitations, even when they're done out of love, what limitations were placed on me and how I hadn't seen it. And it was part of my thinking, my how I was going through thinking. And there's still work to be done. I think the more that we dive in, that deep dive, once we do it with ourselves, it becomes something. It becomes really, why am I not making my commitments? Is it a limiting belief? Is it something that I'm afraid of? Or is it something that I can't do, but I haven't learned yet? And that's the real powerful part is when you go, okay, I can do this, but I haven't learned the right things or surrounded yourself with the right people. How'd you find the right people? So now that you got out, and I know that there's a story on how you got out. If you want to share that, that's fine. But how do you surround yourself also to support you going forward?
And that's a great question. They say, and you could probably help me with this, I'm gonna paraphrase, but when the student's ready, the teacher will show up.
Yep, yep, that's exactly it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's what it was. Like as I became a better person, developed into the man that I needed to be, that I needed in my life, that I admire, right? I acquiring what I admire, becoming the man that I admire, the right people just started to show up because it placed me in different atmospheres, right? Different rooms, because my mindset was cultivating and changing and growing and evolving into where I wanted to go with my life. So for me, it was all about business, right? So I got out. When I did get out, and again, if you want, we could talk about that. But within the first 18 months, I started and grew a real estate investing company with where I learned off of YouTube videos how to acquire properties with no money, no, I call it the three C's: no cash, no credentials, and no credit. So I didn't go to
Hmm.
the bank and get a loan. I didn't, because I didn't have credit. I didn't have any credit, and I didn't have cash. I'd only been out 18 months. I got out with $40. When they let me out of prison, the state gave me $40. I got released into a state that I had no family and friends in.
How did you get out? Because I know somebody's going to ask me the question, if you don't mind sharing.
No, it's a great question. So again, I was originally charged with first degree murder, facing a life sentence without the possibility of parole. When I spent 2 years in county jail waiting to be tried for first degree murder. My lawyer came to me and said, "You're scheduled to go to trial in March. I'm sorry, in June." This was in March of 2000. By then, this was 2004. I got locked up in 2002. So he said, "If you go to trial, you will lose. You will get a life sentence. You'll never see your daughter outside of prison walls again. Here's a plea bargain for second degree murder." So I took a plea for second degree. That gave me a release date. I took a plea for 17 years and 9 months, of which I served an entire 14 years and 4 months of my life in prison.
Wow.
And so that's how I was able to get out. I
Well,
had a
as somebody who's met you, I'm glad that you got out, and I really mean that. It's not just an obvious. It really is. You and I got to have a couple of conversations, just one on one, and just hearing your story and seeing the mission that you are and the man that you are is really just really heartwarming as a outside viewer, seeing how successful you are and your passion to help not only your family to be the man that you needed to be, but also the leader you needed to be in communities, online communities, but also to make sure that people are healthy about, their lives, not just getting back. And but also, I just want to also tell you, as somebody who is a recovery coach, an advocate, that's the hardest part is when you come out of prison, they give you $40 and stick you back in the same neighborhood that you got the trouble into. And they say, good luck. And they expect you to toe the line. So I want to hear more about that toe the line piece. Is that because you're not the same person? I know physically we are the same people, but you are head and shoulders above where you were. And I didn't know you then, but just from what I see before me and the person I've got to know.
And thank you for all your kind words and your observance. So for me, I had a release date. So when it got time for me, my last 2 years, I knew I had 2 years left. I went into plan. I planned, right? We all have a plan. So I started to plan and prepare for my release 2 years prior. Now, when I had done my sentence up to that point, well enough to receive minimum custody, right? So you got maximum, medium, and minimum custody levels. And each level, maximum is just you're locked down.
Yep.
You don't get no privileges much at all, if any. Medium custody, you get a little more privileges, more outside time, more phone call privileges, visitations, and things like that, right? Minimum custody, when you're under 5 years, when you have 5 years or less, if you're approved based off of how you did your time, you can get volunteer passes. Somebody from the community that's an approved volunteer can come and pick you up to go out on a pass for 6 hours twice a week. They can take you to Walmart, they can take you to the bowling alley, take you to a theater, roller skating, like just out into the community, restaurants. So for me, I had got involved with speaking. So I started to write organizations that would invite me to come and speak. Most of them were like Boys and Girls Clubs. YMCA is an after school program for at-risk youth. I wanted to go and speak to the children, the kids, young adults, young men and women who were already at risk of going to prison or getting in trouble. Most of them had already some of them were on probation. Some of them had already been in front of the judge. Some of them were headed that way. They were getting expelled from school and things of that nature. So I started to go and speak to these audiences of children and their parents. I had lined up a speaking engagement to it, and it was an all adult, but it was a support group for people who have loved ones that are incarcerated. So let me explain it like this real quick, David. If I had knee surgery and you had knee surgery, we can talk all day long about all of the things that go with knee surgery. If I had knee surgery and you didn't have knee surgery, then the conversation would be short. It's like, man, I had knee surgery. Oh, I hope you recover fast. That's it. You don't really want to talk about it. So these are individuals who come together because all of them have a loved one that's incarcerated, and they're trying to figure out how to best support those that are incarcerated, their loved ones, whether it's a nephew, a grandson, a son, daughter, whoever. So I went to this meeting because they have like weekly meetings at the time. I went out on a pass to this meeting. And as I was speaking, I told them, you guys are all here to support those of us that are incarcerated, and you want to know how to best support us. If you want to help me, I need a couch. And they erupted in laughter. They laughed at me. So I finished my little spiel, my speech, my story, and things like that. After that, you go and network. You get to talk to people. They can come ask you questions and things like that. How can we help you? And I stuck to it. I said, I was serious when I told you I need a couch. That wasn't a punchline. I'm not a comedian. I've got 2 years left. I need a couch when I get out of here. What do you want me to wait until the day I get released for somebody to, hey, I need a couch and it's going to pop up? See, I sat in prison watching guys get released after doing 10, 15, 20, 25 years, come back within the first 12 months. Why? Because they didn't have nothing. When they got out,
that's exactly it. Again, from the experience, I was one time a visitor in a high in a prison, but also the same way is in the recovery. They get you clean, right? And I hate using that word clean. They get you to stop using substances, and they get you to do that in 30 days. Man, God bless it, man. It's great, 30 days. And then what do? How often are the people who pick you up are the people who put you into that situation? Your drug dealer loves when you come in. So you're clean, you're looking for that catch. And I love that you asked for the couch. And when they asked you again, you still said, I need a couch, and got somebody to see it. And it was a great analogy how you brought that up. Is that's what we need to do is when we all want to give. That's why one of the things I do is part of the charity work I do is I make sure we give out socks to veterans. Everybody wants to help out. Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. I go, what's their biggest need is socks. Veterans or people in nursing homes need socks, clothes, these very easy things that doesn't cost anybody money. It's just about time and showing up. And when you show up like that, it is so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the start of it. Within that the rest of those 24 months, I had a list, a Rolodex as you call it, right, of individual who said, if you ever need anything, let me know, or somebody that said we're here to support, blah blah blah, whatever. But so I had a list of addresses, names and addresses and phone numbers. So what I did was I call you, David. I say, hey, David, man, you said if I ever need anything, reach out. Oh, yeah, sure, man. What do you need? I say, if you don't mind, when you get paid Friday, would you get me a pack of boxers? Here's my size. And you were like, huh? Boxers? Like briefs, underwear? I'm like, that's all I need. Just give me a pack of boxers if you don't mind, if it's not too much. No, that's easy. If you sure you don't want nothing else? You want me to send you some money? I'm like, no, I don't want anything else. Could you just give me the pack of boxers? Here, send it to this address. Yeah. So I write somebody else. Hey, listen, if you don't mind, if you still want to help when you get paid Friday, could you give me a pack of t-shirts? Here's my size. And so I would write different people putting together a wardrobe. So by the time I got down to 1 year, I had all my underclothes that I needed, multiple packs that would get me through a few weeks of just socks, boxers, and t-shirts. Then I also would write somebody and say, hey, I'm going to need a pair of work jeans and then a pair of decent jeans just to go out in. You can get them from Walmart or wherever it's cheaper. You can go to the Goodwill. I don't need nothing name brand or expensive. I just need something I can go to work in and then something I can wear that's clean and decent, presentable in public. If you don't mind, could you get me 2 pair of jeans? Here's my size. And so I built this whole wardrobe up. So now I don't have to worry about clothes. Within my last year, I had work release. I was allowed to go outside, and I worked at a restaurant called K&W Cafeteria. I was the head baker and on the fry line. I started taking the things that we got for free in prison, which was a bar soap and a roll of toilet paper, and taking it to work with me and stashing it in my locker. I'd have my mom come and pick up boxes of toilet paper. For the first year of my release, I didn't spend 1 cent on toilet paper.
Wow.
The soap, the bars of soap, is what I used to shave my head with. I had been doing it my whole entire sentence. So I didn't need, in my mind, why would I spend money on shaving cream? I got free soap. The amount of bars of soap that I had after I got released, that my mom was holding for me after she picked it up, lasted me 3 years. My wife to this day can't believe it. 3 years I never bought shaving cream.
Wow.
And I shaved multiple times a week. So I said that to say, that was my thought process. Now I'm down to about 6 months. They're asking me, the state, my case analyst is asking me for a home plan that I have to have in the state of North Carolina. I don't have family or friends in North Carolina. How am I supposed to get a home address? If I don't give them a home address, they will release me to the county sheriff, who will then lock me back up as a violation of my parole because I don't have nowhere to go, and I'm from out of state, and I'm not allowed to leave the state because of the stipulation of my parole. So I got put on the backlog for multiple homeless shelters, but I didn't give up and wait for a homeless shelter to call me. I kept networking with those who said they wanted to help, and found somebody who was willing to rent me a double wide trailer. So now I need money. I found a place to live,
Right. You got
but
some
I
clothes, you got a place to live, but you got to pay for it.
got to pay for it. So here's what I did. I got on the phone with my mother. Hey, mom, here's what I need you to do. Find out what it's going to cost for me to the deposits for internet, electric, and water, and get me those figures. How much is a cell phone and a monthly bill? Give me those figures. What's the price of gas right now? So I got all of these numbers, all of these prices. The gas I put up, so I created a flyer and itemized first and last month's rent, right? To get into this place, this is how much I'm going to need. I need I think it was a $50 deposit or $150 for electricity to get turned on, $50 for Wi-Fi. I can't remember what the water was, cell phone bill for at least the first month, and then 2 weeks worth of gas, just averaged out. Why did I pick 2 weeks worth of gas money? Because anywhere in my mind, anywhere I go and get a job at, they're going to hold back a week. So I'm not going to get a paycheck for 2 weeks once I get out of here. I itemized all these numbers and it came up to $3,200. I sent out 33 letters, flyers, asking for $100 a piece. Everybody donated $100. I had all the money I needed to get out of prison and be successful. Once I knew I had a place, I sent the deposit, had my mom take care of that on the outside. She went. I had her meet some other people who met her there to give them non-perishable food items. I had a 20-pound bag of rice, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, salt, pepper, garlic, all non-perishable. Put everything in the cabinets. My mom and my sister go clean the place, make it smell real good, make the beds. I had people donate even the bath mat when you step out of the shower, something to step on. So I had everything that I needed in my mind. I need to walk into that place like I never left. Like I've been living.
That's powerful. Yeah.
And that was the biggest, to me, the most significant thing of my release was I had everything already established like I never left. So what I did 30 days prior to being released, I went to DMV on one of my passes. I took the eye exam and the written exam. There's only one other test you got to take to get a driver's license, driving portion. Now, I wasn't allowed to take the driving portion because I was incarcerated. So I had my mom call and schedule an appointment for DMV the day of my release within 30 minutes of my release, the time to be released. I walked out of prison. I hugged my mother, I hugged my daughter, my sister, and I jumped in the car with a friend of mine who had got out 9 months prior to me, who did 24 and a half years on a life sentence. He got out and bought a brand new Honda Accord Sport. I got in the car with him because he was taking me to DMV while they followed us and let me use his car to take the driving portion. I took the driving portion and got my driver's license right then and there, the paper version. They mail you the hard copy.
Yeah. Okay, and what I want to do, that not only is that an incredible story, but it also shows one, the type of man you are and how you plan it, and you could see it in the future. And I think that's really the powerful part, is not only plan today what you want to do tomorrow, but plan what tomorrow looks like. And that is awesome.
That vision, man, like I said, I built an avatar of who the man I would be and become. So for me, David, and I don't know how much time we have left, but for me, I sat in prison and I watched these other guys get out and come back. And what I realized by interviewing them and talking to them, one of the issues was they had a void they were trying to fulfill. A lot of them were still chasing, I call it street dreams, right? Some of them were still chasing a high. Some of them were still chasing a kilo or a package or another drug sale or another female's underwear. Like they were still chasing alcohol and drug, like all the things that were conducive to them being locked up in the first place. For me, I had already done all of that. I already been there and did all of that. That was nothing. Like that was easy. For me, what was unfulfilled, the void that I had, was a domestic lifestyle. See, I woke up next to the same woman every day, took out the trash, cut grass, paid bills. I didn't do any of that prior to going to prison. So that's what I was yearning for. So I sat in prison reading Nicholas Sparks books, watching rom-com, romantic movies and stuff. And man, that's what I want. I want family. I want want love. I want the domestic lifestyle. And so that was part of that Frankenstein that I created. That avatar, that man, he's a family man. He's an upright citizen of society.
That's the man we see in before us today. Now, you've given us so much to think about, and we are going to wrap up the interview. Thank you. I know there's so much more that you have to give. First, how can everybody get in touch with you if they want to talk to you or have you as their leader?
Yeah, the easiest way is either on Facebook, it's my name, Justin Danforth, or Instagram, and that's underscore Justin Danforth.
Okay. All right. And we'll put that in the show notes. Is there one piece of, again, I say, let's walk into a magic garden, and you've given us so much to think about, but what's one seed that we want to plant that might not grow today? We're thinking about the future that you'd like to leave us with.
I would like to leave everybody with this. Know that your level of success, no matter what area of success it is, your level of success will never exceed your level of personal development. And that's because success is something attracted to the person you become.
That's powerful. That we're gonna make sure that people listen to that again, because that is really so true. Thank you, my friend, for all your time, for your knowledge, for sharing your story. And the story is a lot more than just that you got out, but it's what you did and the planning. And that goes back to everything else that we need to do in our lives. Plan to make it what's going to be tomorrow. Look, we go shopping, right? We go showering. We do all these things. If you plan to have the right plan and keep yourself to it, to a commitment, that becomes the powerful thing.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And please reach out to Justin, man. He's an amazing human being. And make sure that you bring peace and love into your life, because that's going to always ground you. And when you bring a bat, just hit your sweet spot and just know your boundaries. That's going to keep you on the right path. And I wish you all the best. Have a great day and God bless.